Hey everyone, I'm Vlad. I'm a senior designer in the security org, and I'm hyped to kick off today's Design Week session with everyone. We've got a really exciting session lined up. It's something that is becoming more and more essential for all of us, especially designers, content, and researchers, designing secure experiences. We're in a moment where AI is accelerating every day, from how we build to how we ship. And that means we're making tougher decisions and making these decisions faster and often with higher stakes. So security isn't just a technical concern anymore. It's showing up in our design conversations, in the choices we make around transparency, control, and trust. Today's session is about how we, as designers, researchers, and content folk, can play a critical role in building more secure experiences, all without slowing down or losing the humanity of our work. So as we go, drop your questions in the chat. Venita will cover the questions after the talk, but I'll hand it over to Venita so we can dive right in.
Thanks, Vlad. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the talk on Secure by Design UX, where we'll explore how to design safer and more resilient experiences in the age of AI. Now, I want to start by posing a question. What would it take? What would it take is a question that threat actors ask every single day. What would it take to get in, to bypass the system? And what would it take to break the one thing that no one thought could break? And now AI is helping them find the answers faster, more creatively, and at a massive scale. It's helping them automate what used to take time. Things like probing for weaknesses, mimicking behaviors, and exploiting overlooked details across the experience. And we're seeing the impact. Credential phishing attacks have skyrocketed, up over 700%. Deepfakes have exploded by over 2,000%, making it harder to tell what's real. And business email compromise has become more convincing than ever, with AI generated content and legitimate tools used to trick employees into moving money or approving access. But even in this high velocity environment, the biggest risk isn't just code, it's people. Roughly 95% of all data breaches involve some form of human error, misconfigurations, oversight, misplaced trust, or simple mistakes. And those risks don't always come from the outside. They often start with good intentions inside the product. So, if so many of these breaches trace back to human behavior, then we as a design community have a real responsibility here. Not just to make experiences easy or elegant, but to design for the messy realities of how people behave. Under pressure, when decisions are rushed, stakes are high, and attention is fragmented. With incomplete information, when users don't always know what's at risk or how their choices might impact security. And when they make mistakes, like clicking the wrong thing, reusing a password, or trusting the wrong source. Because the same AI systems helping us design better, faster, and more intuitively for users are now supercharging attackers, exposing every weak spot in the experience. So, if threat actors are constantly asking, what would it take to break this? Then maybe the most secure thing we can do is to ask it first. I'm Venita Subramanian, a designer at Microsoft Security UX led by Sabine Roll, and I've been leading the Secure by Design UX initiative, helping teams make security both understandable and actionable, and working to scale the tools and frameworks needed to keep up with how fast we're building with AI. And I'm excited today to show how this work can support you in creating better products and developing practices that make security easier to bring into your craft. So, what is Secure by Design UX? It expands on Microsoft's Secure Future initiative and is a strategic approach to anticipating failure even before it happens. We often draw a line between security and user experience. This work is about erasing that line. It's about challenging the traditional limits of what we're responsible for, beyond usability and beauty, into trust and resilience. It brings together mindsets, frameworks, and tools so teams can build security in from the start, early, intuitively, and at scale. At its core, it's about anticipating how things can go wrong before they do. These three elements, mindsets, frameworks, and tools, work together to enable the kind of cultural shift that makes secure design a natural part of how teams build and ship. And ethical hackers have been doing this for decades. They intentionally look for weaknesses before someone malicious does. They simulate real world attack paths to expose vulnerabilities that might otherwise be unnoticed. What if we applied that same mindset to our design process? What if we became ethical design hackers? Not to break into systems, but to pressure test what we create. To think like a threat actor and uncover weak points early in our flows, messages, permissions, and defaults, so we can fix them before they're exploited. It's a mindset shift, bringing the same curiosity, creativity, and tenacity that ethical hackers bring to security and applying it to the way we design. Because this isn't just about better security. It's about breaking the boundaries of how we think, how we design, and how we build for a more safer and a more resilient future. What I want to walk you through next are three mindsets to help us think like an ethical design hacker and stress test our experience, especially the AI powered features we're designing, because that's where the landscape is rapidly evolving and where both value and vulnerability now coexist. The first mindset is always anticipate misuse, which means assuming that someone will try to break or exploit what you've built. Ambiguity is one of the easiest things to exploit in AI systems. When prompts are vague, the model often tries to be helpful by over answering, returning more than what was asked for, or surfacing sensitive data that wasn't meant to be exposed. Now, that's not a bug. That's exactly how these models are designed to behave. And unlike traditional interfaces, there is no fixed path or clear boundaries. With AI powered features, everything is fluid. Users aren't clicking through a defined set of steps, they're engaging in open ended interaction. That makes it even harder to predict what might be revealed, especially when the system is connected to real product data. It's why we can't just design for the ideal scenario. We have to think through the messy edge cases, the gray areas, and how things might be misused. Take this scenario as an example. You are designing an internal financial tool powered by an LLM agent. A manager asks a simple question. Show me my team's spending and travel expenses for Q3. Seems pretty harmless, right? But instead of showing just team level summaries, the response includes detailed salaries, individual expense reports, and even bonus allocation across the organization. So, what went wrong? This happened because the LLM interpreted spending too broadly, pulling from any connected financial data it could access. And there were no guardrails in place, no role based restrictions, no clarification prompts, no sensitivity tags. So the system treated the manager's vague request as license to expose far more than was appropriate. So, what can you do instead? Start by challenging vague prompts with clarifying questions, like asking, are you talking about team budgets or individual expenses? That extra nudge can go a long way in narrowing intent. Next, use role based access and guardrails to avoid exposing sensitive data by default. Who's asking, and what should they actually see? And finally, audit for semantic scope drift. That's when an agent interprets a term more broadly than the user meant, pulling in more data or taking bigger actions than expected. The second mindset is designed to prevent what people can piece together, which means it's not always about what you directly show. It's about what someone can figure out from the pieces you unintentionally reveal. While some exposures happen because the model is trying to be helpful, like we saw in Mindset 1, others happen in more subtle ways, through small signals that attackers can combine. We might design something that feels harmless, like confirming a user exists or showing how many results match to query, but even partial disclosures can add up. Attackers don't need full access. They just need patterns, confirmations, or tiny hints that help them piece together the bigger picture. Let's go back to the same internal financial assistant from Mindset 1. This time someone asks it, show me salary information for Maria Lopez. Now they shouldn't have access to this data, and the system does say, sorry, I can't help with that, but then it continues, confirms that Maria does exist in the system, explains that salary and level info is tied to elevated roles, lists the exact approval steps needed, even names the manager, Derek Lynn, who'd have to sign off, and ends by offering help drafting the request. Now, that's more than enough for a threat actor to start probing the system and the organization. So, why is this a secure UX problem? Because these aren't just usability details. They're clues that help someone map out your system, your people, and your data. These over-specific messages, especially in LLM-powered tools, can turn into information leaks, and chaining multiple small insights can reveal far more than was intended. So what should the experience do instead? Lead with clarity, not confirmation. If someone doesn't have access, make sure that the agent is responding without revealing anything about what they tried to access. Keep things high level. If you need the agent to explain, focus on general guidance rather than internal specifics. And design for intentional stopping points. In low trust scenarios, it is better to end the conversation without offering help to draft a request or suggesting next steps. Sometimes stopping the response chain is the most secure and user-centered thing to do. The third mindset is block the backdoors and guard against feature abuse. Some of the most seamless and helpful features like autocomplete, previews, smart suggestions, or shareability can be intentionally abused in ways we don't always expect. It's not about vague prompts or accidentally exposing information like we talked about earlier. This is about attackers strategically probing your product's capabilities to see how much they can infer, simulate, or exploit. Even if your system isn't revealing actual data, AI models can generate convincing outputs that mimic reality, and that alone can give someone an upper hand. As designers, we need to step back and ask, could this feature be used to imitate, trick, or test the system in a way that gives attackers a foothold? Sometimes a bit of thoughtful friction is exactly what's needed to close those quiet entry points. Now, going back to the same financial assistant tool, an insider or compromised user account interacts with it and they ask, show me an example of how the finance team typically fills out a travel reimbursement expense form. And the assistant helpfully responds with exactly what was asked for, a realistic looking example that mirrors internal conventions, the field names, the layout, even the steps in the workflow. And at first glance, this might seem like a great user experience, but here's what that response just enabled. That example form can now be used to social engineer another employee via Teams because it looks legitimate. Submit a fake but convincing expense request because it follows the exact formatting the system expects. Or even train an external LLM to learn from these internal patterns, essentially turning your tools into raw material for future attacks. It quickly reveals how your organization operates, the language you use, the way your forms are structured, even what normal looks like. And that makes the next move harder to detect because it blends in so well. So how do you do to prevent this kind of misuse? Add guardrails around high sensitivity features. Take into account the user's role, the sensitivity of the data, and the environment before exposing powerful functionality. And dial back realism when trust is low. If a user is unauthenticated or in a low trust context, avoid generating examples that mirror internal formats too closely. Skip the company jargon, exact template structures. These can all be misused to impersonate your system. And monitor for probing behavior. Repeated requests for templates, unusual sequences, or persistent edge case queries could all be signals. In those cases, consider flagging the interaction, throttling the response, or shutting it down entirely. So those are the three mindsets we talked about. Anticipating misuse, preventing what people can piece together, and blocking the backdoors that attackers could exploit. These aren't the only mindsets you'll need, but these are a starting point. Think of them as a muscle you build over time. The more you apply them, the more naturally you'll start to see risks and opportunities to design for security. And while we've been framing this through an AI-powered lens, the truth is that they apply to any user-facing experience, anywhere there's trust, sensitive data, or human behavior involved. So the next question is, How do you actually bring this into your day-to-day design work? That's where the frameworks and tools come in. They're designed to help you build up these mindsets over time, not just by giving you a checklist, but by helping you start seeing your product through a security lens while you design. And we built a growing ecosystem of Secure by Design UX resources to help teams embed security in ways that feel natural, flexible, and customizable. The idea is not to offer a one size fits all solution because we know that every team works differently. But instead, think of these as modular building blocks. Use what fits, adapt what doesn't, and shape them around your unique workflows. And as teams experiment and evolve these tools, we encourage you to share back so others can learn from what's worked as well. Now let's take a look at the layers that make up this ecosystem. Each one plays a different role, but they all build on the same foundation, secure design thinking. We start with the Secure by Design UX guidelines, a set of core UX heuristics and best practices. They give you a clear framework for evaluating your designs through a security lens, and they form the foundation for everything that comes next. These guidelines are actively evolving, especially as we expand to include AI-specific guidance. They're meant to help you focus on the areas where UX can have the biggest impact on keeping systems safe, from how users access your product to how they're guided, informed, and protected throughout. So think of them as your baseline to help you catch risks early and make confident, informed decisions as you go. To build on that, we've introduced collaborative threat modeling frameworks, essentially guided sessions that plug into various points in your workflow. You can use them for structured brainstorming to uncover potential security blind spots, early discovery of risky user behavior or flows, or even live co-creation moments to strengthen secure defaults and access paths as a team. They're designed to help you critically think about your experience and uncover potential gaps. What would someone try to exploit here? What signals are we sending unintentionally? And how could things go wrong? Depending on where you are in your design process, you can choose from different formats, whether it's a quick prioritization canvas to focus your efforts, a structured audit to uncover exposure in your current flows, or a deeper workshop to align on longer-term decisions. There's a wide range of frameworks to choose from, each created to support different types of security conversations across the product lifecycle. Another layer we've been investing in is reusable UX patterns and content considerations, especially for high impact, high risk scenarios. Sometimes the trickiest part of secure design isn't knowing that something's risky, it's knowing how to handle it. How do you word a secure error message without giving too much away? When is it appropriate to show a security badge, and how do you avoid signaling trust when none should be implied? What design decisions prevent data leaks in an audit log? These patterns highlight common pitfalls and best practices, giving you a leg up when designing secure experiences under real-world constraints. They're here to accelerate judgment, especially in moments when speed and clarity are critical. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but do I really have the time to use all of this, especially with how fast we're moving? That's a valid question. We know speed is non-negotiable, so we're also building lightweight ways to help you scale this work quickly. One example is our Secure by Design AI plugin, which starts in Figma. You don't need to step away from your workflow. Just open your design file, select a screen, and run the plugin. It'll check your design against our Secure by Design guidelines, flag any gaps, and provide actionable context-aware recommendations. It even generates a PDF audit report that you can share with your team. It's an easy way to embed secure UX thinking in your design reviews without needing a full workshop. Pretty cool, right? Shout out to Pavan Kusama and the AXE Design Studio for moving this work forward. All of this is still very new, so we're actively learning from all of you and tweaking based on the feedback we receive. And I'm happy to report that we're already seeing strong momentum across the company. Since launching several Secure by Design UX initiatives across the company, reaching more than 22,000 employees, over 200 product teams across security, Azure, Windows, Copilot, Fabric, to name just a few, have applied these tools to improve their designs and proactively identifying and addressing security issues early in the process. This has helped them save time, reduce rework, and close gaps before they reach customers. We've also built a growing network of over 100 Secure by Design champs and V team members, embedded in teams and actively driving this mindset forward. You're not just advocates, you are cultural accelerators. You are sparking design conversations, challenging assumptions, and helping teams bring security into everyday decisions. And with more than 70 talks and workshops delivered so far, reaching thousands of product makers, we watched people go from what does secure by design even mean to I know exactly how to apply this to my work. And these numbers will only keep growing as more teams see the value and make these practices part of how they build. What's been especially great is hearing from teams go from not knowing anything about secure by design to understanding how to think like a threat actor, because that's not something designers typically get to do. They told us that this helped them reconnect with security not as a complex technical topic, but as something that they genuinely care about. And that's what this is really about, making security a creative, collaborative part of the design process. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Designing secure experiences takes a shift in how we think, the frameworks we use, and the tools we rely on. It means thinking like a threat actor without losing sight of the human on the other side. It means seeing beyond what's visible on the screen, understanding what can be pieced together, reused, or misused. It means protecting the very features that makes UX seamless, intuitive, and powerful. And now you have the tools to do it. We are giving you the mindsets, the frameworks, the patterns, and the AI powered automation tools to bring security into your design flow without sacrificing creativity or speed. Because secure doesn't have to mean slow. Secure doesn't have to mean overcomplicated. And secure definitely doesn't mean someone else's job. You are not just a designer anymore. You are an ethical design hacker, here to break boundaries, challenge assumptions, and build trust into every experience from the start. And if this is something you're excited to bring into your team's workflow, head over to the SharePoint site and start exploring the resources today. Everything you need to get started, from mindset to frameworks to tools, are all right there. And we're excited to hear from you on what's working so we can continue to drive impact in the space. Thank you.